The idea of canon is a touchy subject in many fandoms, and Dragon Ball is no exception, which is why Toyotaro's statement on the matter is leading to comments like this. So today I'm just going to be giving my interpretation of what Toyotaro said. This is the most complete version of his statement that I've been able to find on the internet, so feel free to pause the video if you need to. But what he's essentially saying is that he loves all of Dragon Ball, so as far as he's concerned, everything is canon. Now, most people stop right there in the quote, but he does in fact have more to say, because he goes on to say that it's not really his place to determine what's officially canon. However, he does believe every fan has their right to make whatever they want to be canon. This can be confusing. So for those of you who don't know, let's define what canon means. In this context, it's the authentic works of a writer or a sanctioned or accepted group of a body of work. Simplifying that, did the same writer work on all of it, or is it considered a part of that same body of work? By that definition, Dragon Ball has multiple canons. There's Toriyama canon, and then there's everything else. The things that are considered a part of Toriyama's body of work are as follows: Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, and Dragon Ball Daima. These were all worked on by Akira Toriyama and considered to be related to each other. Now, you could say anything that's not those projects is non-canon, but that's a little tricky, because technically speaking, they exist within a canon, just a separate one from Toriyama's. The closest example of a similar setup can be found in the Star Wars franchise, where you had the projects that were worked on directly by George Lucas and everything else in the expanded universe. The expanded universe is based on the same continuity as the Star Wars films, however, they're not considered canon to George Lucas's work. As the IP holder, he made that distinction, and Disney followed suit when they bought the franchise, bundling everything that was in the expanded universe into Legends continuity, and then continuing to build off of George Lucas's canon. Now, I know a few of you are probably thinking the same thing. If something shares a continuity, how can they be in separate canons? Well, that's because, simply put, continuity and canon are not the same thing. The best example of this is the Black Mirror TV show. Everything that happens in Black Mirror is canon. It's all considered part of the same body of work. However, because Black Mirror is an anthology series, not every single episode is in the same continuity. Looping all of that back around to Dragon Ball, GT and Daima are based on the same continuity. They are both based on the events of the Dragon Ball manga and anime. However, GT is not within Toriyama's canon. But just like Toyotaro says, it doesn't mean that you should disregard any of it. If you enjoy the story of Dragon Ball, of the events of Z leading straight into Dragon Ball GT, that's your right. If you want to put GT after the events of Super, that's fine too. And if you don't care how smooth continuity is overall, you can slide Daima in there as well. Much like George Lucas, Toriyama and Toyotaro are not against using non-canon material in order to inform their stories. But ultimately, what I think he was trying to say is, just have fun with it, man. It's really not that deep. But as always, this is my opinion, and as always, I want to hear from you guys. What is your ideal Dragon Ball canon? Leave it in the comments, let me know.